if you are watching. Just a little bit of background about yourself. You can obviously, where you're comfortable saying where you're from, how old you are, and where your journey started.
Okay, no problem. So, my name is Lynne and I am 32. I am, well, I'm from Scotland, obviously,
Yeah.
um, and I live near Glasgow. So basically, my journey started as soon as I was born. When I was born with no back passage. My parents were told it's fine, it can happen, we'll get it sorted. It wasn't fine. And basically, they were then told, I'm really sorry, but your daughter's it's going to die.
Oh my
So
gosh.
luckily for me, my surgeon went on holiday, and another surgeon took over and said her bowel is very infected. She will pass away. Thankfully, took me to theatre, did what they did, took most of my bowel away when I was 2 weeks old. Voila, my stoma appeared. So I had my stoma for about 4 or 5 years. They tried to take it away and,
Give you a reversal.
connect it to my reversal.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Reversal and, connect back passage. Didn't work. Had to end up, I was like a 4 or 5 year old going about with nappies on, which just wasn't ideal. So my stoma got resited somewhere, thankfully, lower down. Just with my mum being very aware that my girl will a fashion sense in the
Yeah.
future and all of that. So got it refashioned. And I've had it ever since. So unfortunately, loads and loads of complications with it over the years. Um, you know, think about 20 odd
Wow.
operations. To throw it into the mix, I've also got two wombs, and I also have one kidney working and the other is failed. So I've also got kidney damage and kidney failure to an extent. Luckily, it's manageable. It's not affecting my life yet. Hopefully, it won't ever. But yeah, so yeah, that's me. And but happily married with a lovely 3-year-old boy. And the best husband ever. So yeah, not everything's bad.
Yeah. So when you talk about obviously having your stoma at 2 years old, so I think
No, two
2 weeks.
weeks, 2 weeks old.
Um, so you'd said to me previously in messages that you had ulcerative colitis.
So yeah, so they said I had ulcerative colitis when I was born, but it's really weird because I've never been put on any. Well, I used to be on medication when I was younger, but I've not been on medication for years and years.
Wow.
And my mum and dad were really out of the loop about it.
Yeah.
So they were basically like, yeah, all my notes say ulcerative colitis. Mum and dad got told ulcerative colitis, this is medication, blah blah blah. But I've never, I don't have any treatment for it anymore. I just kind of, I had my bag and that's it. And I don't need any medication, surprisingly. But I think it's because all my bowel, I've literally got a stump of bowel
Oh,
left.
okay, so you've no
That's
large
it.
bowel,
I've got
just your
nothing,
rectum.
none.
Yeah.
Just my, yeah, just like the
Yeah, the
stump.
rectal stump.
Which,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that would probably be why, because obviously there's nothing for it to infect. But I had ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, and that affected my rectal stump. Was the ulcerative colitis in there?
hmm.
So do you have an IBD team or anything like that?
Oh, right, okay. So I, I had a team, York Hill Hospital when I was younger. Then I had to go to Paisley. Paisley were like, nope, can't deal with you. I'm really sorry. You're too complicated. You're too complex. So I ended up going to Glasgow Royal. I did have a team there, but touch wood, I've not really had to contact
That's not
them
so
that
bad. So
much.
at least obviously you have that there. Like, should you
Hmm.
need, that's not so
Yeah,
bad.
I have it there, but yeah, no, I've just, what it's like. You're a mum. It's like the last 3 years. It's like you don't look after
No,
yourself
you don't
first.
have
It's
any time, do
it's
you?
no,
Um,
I don't have time, so it's
and not
got on
only
with
that
it.
as well, you can't find the line between am I tired from being unwell or am I tired from being a mum because it's quite similar, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh, definitely. I think when Michael, so that's my wee boy, was born, I did notice, when I was breastfeeding and things like that, that me breastfeeding was, really taking a lot more out of me than it was taking out of my friend who was also breastfeeding at the
yeah,
time, because she was, getting all the nutrients that she needed to get, passing them on, whereas I wasn't getting anything because, we don't digest things
yeah.
properly, and anything I was digesting was being given to my baby. And unfortunately, it was one of the reasons I actually had to stop, because I was just like, I'm really
It
weak.
is quite
I
common.
can't do this anymore.
So obviously when I was talking with my consultant when I was pregnant, and I had lots of people saying to me, well, are you going to be breastfeeding? Are you formula feeding? And lots of people be like, breast is best and things like that. And then I got a new midwife, and she said to me, fed is best. She was like, whatever is good for you and your baby is what's best. And sometimes
Missed.
just
Yeah.
one option might not work for you. So I had a consultation with my consultant, and he had said what had happened with you, Lynn, is that is quite common in people with IBD. That when they start to breastfeed, it really just takes it out of your immune system because you're constantly trying to produce
Hmm.
milk with nutrients, but then it's taking nutrients away from you to give to the baby, and then the
Exactly.
IBD can flare. You can lose weight, more susceptible to infections and things. Um, but I suppose I don't know about yourself, but for me, I felt quite guilty that I wasn't able to breastfeed.
So yeah, so my wee boy was born 2 months premature.
Wow.
So I was told, if you don't breastfeed, we'll get donated milk, and I was just like, no. Not that I judge anybody on that,
No.
but I was just like, no, I wanted to feed
Yeah.
my baby. So basically, I was really lucky. My supply was amazing. So I just done it until he was like full term, so until he was two
Yeah.
months. Um, and that was like my benchmark. And then after that, it was husband's away back to work. I need to be awake. I need to
Yeah.
be healthy and fit as I can to look after this baby. That's where it kind of the formula took over
Yeah.
and gave me a break,
I think it is
basically.
difficult, isn't it? Because Jamie goes back to work next month, so it's only in a couple of weeks.
Hmm.
And that's one of the reasons I'm quite grateful that I do formula feed. I know a lot of ladies though
Hmm.
who do breastfeed, but they pump, and then they would
Right. Okay. Yeah, I
they
done
would
that.
save their supply.
Yep,
But
I done
funnily
that.
enough, I didn't leak much milk at all. Even during pregnancy and after I had Odin, there was nothing.
Oh, I was like, I only literally just stopped. Like when Michael was about, I was still getting some leaks when he was like two.
Wow.
And like I was going to the doctor and I was like, is this normal? And they were like, yeah, just don't touch it. And I was like, but it's really heavy.
Yeah,
And
you get so
yeah, it
sore.
was just, oh, yeah, definitely.
There's
But
no pain like it.
um, I was just, yeah, I think that way I was just like, oh, like, it is what it is. It's the least of my worries right
Yeah,
now. Again, preoccupied parenthood and all that. But yeah, it just, when I was obviously feeding, and then it was constantly pumping and storing it and freezing it
it
and
takes up
everything
a
like
lot of
that. It was
time.
just like so
Yeah.
drained. The only good thing was I felt like I lost weight.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm wishing like
um,
I could breastfeed for because I'm the heaviest I've ever been.
I mean, well, I'm back to being heavier than I was then. Lockdown and all
Yeah.
that. I don't have pregnancy. I don't think I can still blame pregnancy in that. So
Yeah.
yeah. But then again, like the reason is like I can't tolerate healthy food. It's
Yeah.
it's so bad. I can't tolerate a lot of veg. I can't tolerate anything with skins. I can't tolerate so much that I want to eat to be healthy.
It's
But
very difficult, isn't it? Because I'm exactly the same.
mhm.
Any fiber, and oh, I'm just in agony. Or it's blockages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So definitely, it's just not worth it
No.
in the end. And then again, don't have time for blockages when you're a mum.
You really don't. And the thing
You
is as
don't
well,
got that time.
it's kind of like, well, I would rather be overweight but healthy enough that I'm able to do everything I need to be able to do for being a mum, being there
Hmm.
for my baby. And it's the same with you, I would imagine that, you know, like your weight just does not matter because you would rather have that energy and be
Hmm.
able to be a mum to the best of your
Yeah,
capabilities. So when it came to
definitely.
having your son Michael, did you have a natural birth or were you a C-section?
C-section, I was put out. So basically, what happened is I didn't even realise. Again, probably spending most of my life in pain. I didn't realise I was in labour. I just thought I'm a wee bit
Oh
uncomfortable.
no.
This isn't really, I was in work. I was labouring in work. Didn't realise just because, I had quite bad sciatica when I was born because of the way Michael was lying. All my labour again was in my back, so I was just like, oh, just
Your
really
sciatica
bad
playing up.
sciatica. Yeah, my husband gave me paracetamol, told me to go back to sleep. Went back to sleep, and then I woke up and I was a wee bit, like, oh, I'm bleeding, better phone. So I'd had a lot of kidney and urine infections during my pregnancy again, kidney, backache. So went up, literally went through the doors with my jacket on, my handbag, like, hi, like, could I get some antibiotics, please? Um, and then I was like, to the midwife, this is really weird. I mean, pain just keeps coming and going. It's, usually quite, consistent.
Yeah.
And her face just went white. And she was like, could you just lie in a bed till I check you, please?
And you're just like, what's all this
Um,
fuss for?
yeah. And she got the doctor in, and they were all like 2 minutes later, there was like three or four doctors out there. I was like, what's going on? And the doctor was like, I can feel a foot. And I was like, sorry?
Are you sure?
She was like, there's a foot. And I was like, oh, okay. So you're in premature labour and your baby's breech, obviously.
Oh
And I was like,
no,
okay.
so that's why you would have been in
She
so
was
much
like,
pain.
the thing was, like what was really, really sore, I was like, this isn't that bad. Like, I've had worse.
Yeah, see,
I expected it, you
yeah, well,
know,
everybody says
I
it's
don't
like
know.
the worst pain that you could ever imagine, but I think when you've been the amount of surgery through the amount of surgeries that you have, and I know with
Hmm.
myself as well, that you kind of get used to that pain, don't you? It's like what's different. When
Yeah,
I was having my contractions and
exactly.
like before having Odin, I wasn't necessarily in a lot of pain. It was more like I just couldn't breathe because it felt like my body was like, oh, like that. So
Yeah, and I think that,
yeah,
yeah, and it's sad because you shouldn't be used to pain like that.
no,
It shouldn't be like that, but that's just the realistically in our life it is,
yeah,
and that's what I would say. This, and there's like, my friends and my family were like, well, kind of get why you didn't know that you were in labour because we've seen you, in so many other scenarios where you've been in pain.
yeah.
Um, and this is my first child. I didn't know what labour was supposed
Well,
to be
you don't.
like.
That's the thing.
It's
And when you have a difficult pregnancy and then you've infections and pain as well, you literally can be none the wiser.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, I was just like, and then to me, even like when you're saying that, I was like, I always say people had a really easy pregnancy, but yeah, you're right, like Kevin. But again, that's just like a natural thing for me, like to have
Yeah,
infections and things
especially
like
with only
antibiotics.
having one functioning kidney. So it's under
Yeah,
a lot
exactly.
more
And that,
strain.
hmm um, and yeah, basically, I was just like shocked, and then they were like, I don't know if it happened to you, but then they come in and they're like, oh, and they had bowel surgeons and stuff
Yeah,
around. So they actually had to phone people to come in from their house because they were just like nobody wanted to
yeah,
touch
that's
me.
exactly what I had, and
Um,
I had a planned
yeah,
C-section under general. So
yeah, I was under
first
general
thing, as
too.
soon as I
Yeah.
found out that, I was like, right to my surgeon, I need him there. I was like, I don't want anybody else. And they're like, it's
Mhm,
okay, we don't want anybody else either, but we want him. And
mhm.
so mine was planned, but was yours planned?
No, so he was
Emergency.
obviously premature, so it was an
Yeah,
emergency. So basically, like my doctor's in Edinburgh, so I was just like, I need somebody. So these two surgeons came in and were basically saying all this stuff, and I was just like, just get
yeah,
the
just
baby
get him
out
out
safe. I
safely
don't,
and just get
yeah,
things
whatever.
sorted.
Don't really care what happens to my bowel here. It's just
Yeah.
whatever. But I had the most easy C-section
Oh,
ever. Like he was out after 13 minutes. I was closed back up and back in. But eating my toast and tea that they give you
wow.
within like well, I don't know, like think overall 45 minutes. They were just like, and there's some miracle, like some absolute miracle with like the 20 odd operations I had, like, they were like, yeah, like there wasn't much scar tissue, womb and everything looked fine. Um, and I was just like, all right, great,
Can
like,
I get home?
and yeah, and the thing was, I was up and walking about the next day and I shower, yeah, I had help, but I think again, I'm not anybody that's went for a C-section that's maybe been really, really suffering after it or really I can yeah I can empathize with that. My friends, they had really much worse experiences than me and they're not used to things, but I don't know if my body's just so
I
used
think
to
so,
getting like
yeah. I
sliced
think your body
open.
sort of adjusts, doesn't
um
it?
yeah, that like I literally woke up and I was like, yeah, like I'm fine, I'll just get up. And
I want to see
I
my
was more
baby.
annoyed people would wake me up to like, yeah, and obviously he was unfortunately in the NICU. So, but because again, I'd seen a therapist when I was there, because I was in such a state, leaving him every night. She was like, this is really not good. And it is mother's instinct, but I think it was also, I explained that, well, this is kind of like a miracle baby. This is just not something that maybe I thought was going to happen. And then she was like, right, this is totally understanding why I was like the way I
Yeah.
was, and gave me a bed and just let me stay in the
Oh,
hospital with
that's
him for a good while,
lovely.
which was great. Because again, it's just like more trauma to
It
add
definitely
to the
is. And
mix.
so, when it comes to fertility and things, did doctors ever discuss with you before falling pregnant? Were your chances low? Did they say anything like,
hmm
"Oh, well, we don't think you can have
hmm
children"? What was the angle around that?
The angle was very much you had obviously got a lot of scar tissue, a lot of surgeries. The main thing was the two wombs thing, so that's uterus didelphys, which is very uncommon, and basically it can be a sign, well, could be a symptom, could be infertility.
Okay.
So I was like, right, okay, this is it. Like I'm going to need to pay for IVF. I'm going to need to, really can I save this money? Had spoke to like, it was just my boyfriend at the time and my husband. This is the situation. Are you okay with that? So we, we were like, right, we started trying, quite early on, thinking it's going to take years. And, 4 months later, I was
Oh.
like, oh,
So, the
something.
condition that you have that causes you to have two wombs, could you tell not only just myself but anybody that's watching about that as well?
So it's all connected really to why my bowel poisoned. So because so I think your womb and your kidneys and your, kind of your anus is all being formed at the same time while in the
Okay.
womb. Mine didn't form correctly. So the cells kind of basically got a wee bit mixed up, I think. So instead of, kind of my two kidneys and then my one womb fusing together, my womb, so you've got two wombs that fused together, mine didn't. So mine stayed as two. Then that's affected my kidney because my kidney's not got the room that it should
Okay,
have.
yeah.
So that's why one was kind of deformed, and doesn't work. And then obviously, on top of that, I had really bad luck and also got, kind of the element of a disease bill leading to UC as well
Yeah.
after that. So it all kind of happened at the same time. There is a really long name for the condition. I can't pronounce
That's
it.
okay.
It begins with H. If you Google, it'll come up. So yeah, that's why. But yeah, I'm really lucky. 4 months, which is not a
That
long
is an
time. I
absolute
know
miracle.
people. Yep. So yeah, and then he was premature, but he's fine. He's so clever. He's so healthy. He's going to be 4 in a couple of weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, he's absolutely
And
fine.
when he was born, was everything okay as well, apart from being premature?
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
amazing,
No,
isn't
no,
it? Just with
no issues
everything
at
you've
all.
been
I
through,
know.
you don't think like, oh no, like my baby's gonna be perfectly healthy. You're like, okay, so I'm gonna prepare myself and for things that's gonna come because you always want to.
Yeah.
Well, I think you do prepare for the worst, don't you? Because of everything that you've been through.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm just really grateful that it's me that's going through it
Definitely.
and not my child.
So with your baby, your miracle baby, and your chronic health, how Does your partner find everything?
Kind of really laid back guy, so he's just kind of like, don't know how you're still
Yeah.
functioning sometimes because he just sees me in my bad days. So, like the other day, for instance, I was trying to get Michael ready, and my bag just
Oh,
would
that's the
not stick.
worst.
So it was like bursting and bursting. So it burst 4 times by the time I even got out the door. And I was like, can you take over? I was like, every time I bend
It's just
down to try
peeling.
and put his socks on or help him with his jeans, it was just like, it's just bursting. Like, I can't bend over. I need to put this on lie flat. And I was crying. I was upset. I was not upset. For me, I'm upset that I
Yeah.
can't be a mum. Like,
You
this
feel
has stopped me
guilty.
from even just putting
Yeah.
my child's, yeah, or, like the other week, I had to go to my mum's house because my husband was out, and I was like, Mum, could you please look after Michael? I need to go up and lie in your bed and just take my bag off and get air because like my
Oh,
stomach was
yeah.
bleeding, and just it's
Yeah,
just
you
like
just you feel so guilty.
things like
You're just
that.
like, is he gonna notice, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
and then oh yeah,
Yeah.
because he's attached to me, so he's like, "Where's mummy? Where's mummy?" And like bring him up and try to learn him. Mummy's got a bag, and what? Not everybody's got this bag,
That's
and he does
good.
kind of know that actually, because he doesn't really say. He's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "Oh," and then he was dead. I'm dead sad. I was like, "No,
Oh,
mummy's
bless
fine."
him.
So it's that kind of try to, yeah, so try to like teach him, this is different and this is not what everybody's like. This, to I don't want to worry a 3, 4
No.
year old, like I don't want them to see their mum like that.
Well, it is.
But
I don't know
yeah,
if you've
so
heard of
it's hard.
Buttery Bear. So Buttery Bear is
No.
actually a Scottish-based charity, and Jenny, who created Buttery Bear, her daughter's got Crohn's in a stoma bag from when she was really young. So she created these
Hmm,
stoma bears that have a
right.
stoma and a stoma bag.
Oh, I
Yeah,
have seen them, yeah, because I remember thinking they would have been good when I used to just
you
stick
can
my
still
bags
apply
onto my
for one.
dolls.
It's free, and they also do a book.
Right.
Yes, it's
To try and
specifically for
teach. That's
children.
really
I've
good,
actually got one.
actually.
If you give me 2 seconds, I'll go and get it. And so they just ask for a small donation for one of these books. And I've been showing them to my
All right,
doctors,
okay.
and they're absolutely brilliant. And I can't wait for Odin to be older because obviously myself and Jamie have got one. So it's just newly been published. So this is a new thing.
All
So the
right,
stoma bears
okay.
have been going for a few years. I got one when I first had my surgery in 2015. So this is the book, and it says "A friend just like me," and it's got lots of illustrations
Ah,
inside. It says this book belongs to, and you can write who it belongs to.
right, okay. Oh, that's really
So
good.
it
That is
says,
really
I wrote
good,
this
yeah.
story to give Botany a voice, as he has given a voice to so many families searching for a way to talk to their children about stomas. We are often taught from a young age not to talk about poo in polite company, and my hope for this book is that it normalises the conversation, particularly for families affected by stomas. So I will,
That's good. I'll need
once we've
to
had this live stream, I'll
definitely.
pop you the link on how to get one, and you'll be able to give your little boy one. You can
Hmm.
kind of just look through the illustrations, and they're honestly beautiful, and it's so nice as well. I think more so for us, and I'm sure you'll be able to relate that Scotland doesn't have a lot of things like this. There's no really
No,
awareness campaigns, and there's not really a lot. I don't know if you found, but myself, I didn't think there was an awful lot of support for being chronically ill or having a stoma with pregnancy, and even now after having my child. And
no,
do you find that
no.
as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's many. No, I mean, I've kind of rely on like Facebook
Yeah.
pages and things like that. But again, I think I just push a lot to the side as well, though. I think
No.
this isn't about me. This is about Michael. I need my mum. I'll do it later. I deal with it later, and then later
Yeah.
comes, and you never really deal with it, and then you're like, God, my mental health's really bad, and it's
Exactly.
because you're
But
not getting
that's
that
the thing
support or
is
you're not
that
getting
it's
that
not being
understanding.
offered because it's just not there. And I felt, especially in
Mhm.
pregnancy with my
Yeah,
stoma, midwives didn't know what to do with me. Did you find that as well?
I'm really lucky. I didn't have any
Oh,
issues with my
okay.
stoma during pregnancy. Mine stayed the exact same. There was a bit of pain maybe if like,
Yeah,
Michael was behind it, moving about. But no, I didn't have any issues. And I think to be honest, like again, like I've had mine for 32 years. So sometimes I'm just like, like I've just dealt with everything I could possibly deal
yeah.
with in that 32 years. So I'm just kind of like, just deal with it
I can't
myself.
think of
It's
the
fine.
word because I've really got
I'm
really
like
bad brain fog today. But you kind of you're not joking.
mum
It's
brain.
terrible some days, but you kind of become, I suppose the word is maybe resilient because you've dealt with it since you were so
Oh
young.
yeah, definitely.
The life that you have is all you've
hmm
known. So you've never had a transition
Yeah,
between a normal
exactly.
life and then a life with a stoma, and it's just like everything at once. It's more so just been this way for you, and that's kind of just it, isn't it?
hmm Yeah, and sometimes I'm really glad and I'm really grateful for that because I just think, I don't know how it must be to go from one to the other. But at the same time, sometimes I get jealous of the fact I've never
Yeah.
experienced normality or whatever normality is supposed to be. And that does get me down because I'm like, oh God, like I'm never going to know what that's like,
You're not
never.
missing out on much.
Which is rubbish.
I think though I think I get what you mean. You know, it's like, oh, I'd love to have a day pain free, or I'd love to have a day where I'm up. You know, I've got my bounce, and I go to work, and I can eat this, and
hmm
eat that, and I can go on nights out with my friends, and
Yeah,
not the
yeah,
anxiety of
that's
wondering, well, is
exactly
my
what it
bag
is.
going to
It's
peel? Am I going to get a leak? So in that respect, yeah, I do understand what you mean.
hmm yeah, like even just, I mean, like again going back to the mum thing as well. It's like life's already
Yeah,
very hectic and very on the go and so much worry and so much have I done this or am I doing that right? It's like to then have that on top of it. Some days I'm
yeah,
just like, oh my God. Or you're having a really bad day because you're having loads of leaks or you're in pain or something you've ate. You're like, oh my God, like like I mean, I went to my friend's the other night and I literally think there was like a bit
oh
of like mushroom,
no, yeah,
like a wee bit of mushroom in my dinner. I chewed it
they're
so well
so
because I
good.
do love mushrooms. Obviously, I can't really have them. I know, and you're lucky if I had one or two. And I paid for it the next morning, and I was just like,
I wish I
oh
didn't
my
do that.
God, like I was in, yeah, in the toilet for ages, like kind well, mummy, you okay? Like, where's
Oh,
mummy? And you can hear him, like, where's mummy, mummy? Like,
so
I'm like, oh my God,
obviously
this
days
is
like
like,
that. So on a bad day, so from morning to night on a bad day, what is your day like? And obviously, it can be maybe obviously different when Michael's at nursery, but what's it like when he's not at nursery and you're having a bad day?
He doesn't know I'm having a bad day. He'll never know I'm having a bad day because he's too young and he's too young to have that on him. In my book,
Yeah.
I don't want him to know that mummy's sad. I don't want him to know that mummy's in pain or anything like that. Um, there is obviously I'm maybe a wee bit more absent, so it will be Stuart. So Stuart's my husband, so but Stuart, could you maybe take Michael downstairs while I kind of lie here with my bag off because my skin's bad, or I'm going to go to the toilet. I'm going to be a wee while. Can you keep him entertained? Or maybe we just don't venture out
Okay.
too far that day because I know that I need the toilet or my stomach's going to be a wee bit bad, or but
Yeah.
I mean, I just try and get on with it, and I think that's one of my problems sometimes. But
So
yeah, I
you
just
on a
try and
bad
get
day,
on
you
with
just
it.
try to get
But
on with it, and then you've got the support of your husband to take your wee boy Michael just as and when you need him to.
yeah, like yeah, basically. So I just try and deal with it the best I can and do things. So maybe I'm feeling like if no things aren't moving along like they should be, or a wee bit kind of sore. I kind of know now what kind of to drink or what to eat to make me feel a bit better. I know what to do if my skin's bad. I just try and, resolve the situation as quickly as I can so then my attention can turn to him again.
I've just realised that the live chat's not working. It's been turned off for some reason. So if anybody's wanted to ask a question, then it's not coming up. So this is typical for first life, isn't it? So how did you meet your partner?
Yeah. Well, his mum lives across the road, basically
Ah,
from my mum. So it was a kind of familiar faces, getting chatting, Facebook. You know, I kind of know your face, I know yours. That was it. Yeah, because you've lived across the road from me for like 20 odd years. That's why we know each other. Um, so it's not like right directly across. It's like maybe like, there's a weekend, my mum's wee estate's there and his mum's is like kind of over the road past some shops, but
aye.
like a 3 minute walk.
So did
So,
he ask you out on the first date?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, his mum knew, like his mum knew everything about me because she knew me as kind of the sick baby, we girl that doesn't keep well, we
Not
girl that's in and out
ideal
of
when you want to go
hospital,
on
we
a first
girl.
date where it's like you're known as the sick
Um,
girl.
well, I didn't know this, so I was like, didn't say anything. I was in so much pain in the first date, and I just remember he was like, we went for some
Oh
tea, which
no.
obviously was, an Nando's. I then at the cinema, and he was like, "Oh, eating more, ate too much, was sore." And I remember coming out, and he was like, "Oh, let's go and grab like a hot chocolate or something." I was like, "Oh, I just need to go to
Oh.
the toilet. I need to go home. I need to go home." And I remember like for like an hour, I was just in so much pain. Um, and I was like, right, I need to tell him about this really quickly because I'm not going through that again. And when I told him, he was like, "Yeah, I know." And I was like, "Why did you make me tell you then?" He's like, "Because it's your place to tell me, but my mum already told me," which was a huge
Yeah,
relief,
so it saves
actually. I
you
was just
having
like, "Oh,
to
thank God."
go through all that and be like, yes, this is what's going on and this is what I've got. But somebody had already done that for you, so it's no way that's quite
Hmm.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot more in-depth detail with me, but it was just like it was good that he knew there was something, and I just was like, right. And then yeah, really that's been us ever since, and it's nearly
Oh.
6 years. So yeah.
And so, how do you find having a stoma on your wedding day?
So yeah, I was all right. I probably don't. I feel when I'm dressed up,
Yeah,
sometimes I still don't feel dressed up because of it. There's still
you
that
know it's
element
there.
of no, it's there. It's not particularly something you want on
No.
your body. For me as well, it's not just the bag. For me, it's the 6 scars in my stomach that go
Yeah.
along with the bag, which are pretty,
You must have quite a
big
lot with the amount
and
of
emergency
surgeries that you've
surgery.
had.
So yeah, so I have 6. There's a couple that are okay, and there's a few that are emergencies, so it just looks like
Yeah.
somebody's like slashed me. Um, and it's got the big kind of like big wee holes
Oh
where
my
you can see like
gosh.
the needles went through. I've had my mhm, I've had my bowel stapled to me, so you can still see like the staples from where my bowel used to be stapled to my side.
Wow.
So it's like created wee
If you need
dents
to
in my
get a drink, by
stomach.
the way, you're more than happy to.
So
This isn't formal at all. This is just
do
like a
you
proper
know what
girly
actually?
chat.
Um, well, I've got my wee boy's fruit
Do
juice.
you know what is so funny? Because I love fruit
And
shoots. And another thing I was thinking the other day, so I had my eye test last week. So I'm trying on all the glasses and I'm like,
mhm.
these are absolutely massive. So the queen comes through and she says, oh, I've got a pair of these kids ones. I says, right, I'll try them on. And they fit perfectly. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Because when Odin gets older and we go shopping, I'm going to be in the kids section because my feet are so tiny. I'm a size 3. So I get all my shoes in the kids section. So he's going to be like, Mom, why are you shopping in the kids section? You're not a kid. And I'm like, oh my god, how am I going to explain this?
Well, no, I know. Like, well, Michael's is a size like I bought my size
Yeah,
10 the other day. Like, obviously, kid's size 10, but he's nearly 4. My friend's wee boy, who's like his best friend, is 4. was 4 back in October, and he's like an 8,
Wow.
and Mike was a 10. I put them on, and he was like, bit tight, mum. And I'm like, oh, you're going to be in the pure expensive,
Yeah.
like, shoes, like, so quickly, and I'm going to need to pay a fortune. Because I even went into the kids, like, shoe, and I said, my wee boy's probably going to be up to an 11. And she's like, oh, you're over in the next bracket now, which is obviously, and I was just like,
My poor bank account.
oh, well. Thank God there's only
And
one
so,
of
do you
them.
not want any more then? Yeah?
Oh yeah, one more would be great. One more would be great. But we're actually in
Okay.
between houses just now, so we're living with my husband's aunt because we bought a new house. We sold our house, got told we were moving into our new house, and because it's a new build, everything's just been delayed, delayed, delayed.
Bless you.
So
So
we're a
it's a
bit
lot of
homeless
stress as
just
well.
now.
On top of your
So not the
illnesses,
now.
being a
Yeah.
mum, and you were saying that you work as well. So what do you do for a
Mhm.
living?
So I'm a
Wow.
senior housing advisor. So yes, basically kind of do casework. I'm a line manager. So yeah,
Yes,
stressful
very, very
job as
stressful because I
well.
would
Very
imagine you'll be
stressful.
dealing with people that
Um,
have homelessness and things like that.
yep, homelessness, evictions, debt, addictions, mental health, physical
Yeah.
health, all
So
of
what do
that.
you think
So
for you is the best,
yeah,
like what's the best part about that job? Like taking away the stress. What do you like about the job?
helping people and the fact
Yeah.
that I can understand what it's like. People are, oh yeah, I understand. And I'm like, you don't unless you've got a condition. Even when you do have a condition, like you can't understand
No,
somebody's situation, and I
exactly.
can recognise that, and sometimes I feel it's quite good. So yeah, just basically seeing outcomes and understanding people's situations and stuff. It's really good, and I
That's
love
really good.
everybody I work with. So I'm really
Definitely.
lucky in that
So do
aspect
you
as
have any
well.
more surgeries coming up that you know of?
I need right, so I might need my kidney taken out because they think because of the TED. So like I was saying, when I was
Yeah.
pregnant, I had sciatica, and I basically was like, my back's really sore all the time. And I'd went to the doctor and get kind of palmed off, like,
Yeah.
it's your pregnancy, your body's never the same after pregnancy, all of that, what it's like. And I'm like, okay, my body's changed in a bit way, yeah, okay. But like this back pain, so the doctor was saying he wants me to go for another renogram because he actually thinks that the dead tissue from my kidney
Wow.
might be causing the pain. So I'd already discussed this before. And then when I had was due to get my kidney out, I was 18 weeks pregnant, and I was like, oh, sorry,
Can't get it done now.
can't get it out. Um, and now they're talking about it again, but I did say to him, I'm not really sure if I'm finished with my family yet, so I'd rather maybe
Yeah,
try
and
and
just
have
wait a
another
bit.
child
Yeah.
before any more surgery. So, I mean, like I say, we'll just need to kind of see, wait and see what happens in the family aspect of things, and then see if I can go longer without getting it out. But if it's damaging any other tissue or any other organs, yeah, I'll need that
Yeah.
out soon.
So it's not ideal, but you kind of juggling between obviously wanting another kid, but then also looking after yourself as well. It's very it's a very stressful situation to
And I
be in.
don't, yeah, and I can't put my health at risk by having another child if it's going to affect me because I've got a child
Exactly.
here I need to deal with. Um, but yeah, we'll just need to wait and see.
Bless you.
Yeah.
So we've covered your stoma and your conditions, your job, and obviously little wee Michael being an absolute miracle, and you've got a lovely husband. What advice would you give to anybody as obviously a mum with a stoma and chronic illness?
I think just, remind yourself like you're doing really well. Like I always sit and think, oh, I'm such a failure in my body. Like my body just can't do what it's supposed to do, and my kidneys can't work properly, my bowel can't work properly. And then my husband's like, no, you're amazing. Like they're not working and you're still here, you're still getting on with every day, you've still, gave life to someone. I think it's just really important to keep your
Yeah.
positive thoughts. take time, take support if you've got it. It's so hard, but if you need to just go and lie down for like half an hour, do it, because then you're going to be feeling better to then go and do something with your child.
It's very good advice, I would agree.
Just like, yeah, just kind of take the help when you can get it. And just remember that they need you. They need you to be healthy and fit, and they want you to be like that.
Absolutely.
Um, so yeah, and I think just cherish it, because we're just all so lucky, illness or not. There's people there that can't have children. Um, so just so lucky
I
that
know, I
we
think it's
can.
so incredible as well that after everything that each chronic illness, sufferer has been through, especially those with a stoma and conditions that requires them to have quite a lot of surgeries and things, do you not sometimes just sit and think like, I actually had a baby? Do you ever get that? Because I sit and
Yeah,
think often,
I do.
and like I don't know about you, but sometimes for myself, like I know I've got Odin, and I went through the pregnancy, but it's kind of like a blur at the same time where I'm like, I've not forgotten my struggles of being pregnant. It's more so I've just like I've been pregnant and now I've got a baby, and it's just like, whoa, like me, I have a baby now. It's so incredible.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I just think sometimes, like, well, like I look at them and I'm like, wow, like
Yeah.
you're just perfect, and I made
How is
you.
that possible? Like
um,
how did this happen?
yeah, yeah, exactly. But then sometimes I was like, there was a TikTok the other day, and I don't know who it was, and she was like, she's got a stoma, and she was like, "Oh, been through this many surgeries, that many surgeries, done this, survived that. I should be dead, but I'm not." And I was like,
Yeah.
"So should I." It's like every birthday, I always think, God, like, my parents said, were told I would be dead at
And
two
I
weeks
suppose
old,
it's
but,
like amazing for
32
your
and
parents as
still
well to
rocking.
become grandparents.
Oh, that was just like, yeah, my mum and dad. So my sister, because of all my illnesses, my sister's a good 8 years, well, 7.5 to 8 years younger than me. Just not at the stage of life, she's not got a partner yet, or settled down or anything. So my mum and dad were like, "Oh, I think we're going to," they would never say it. You would know, they would say maybe, subtly, just like the word, you would always be like, "Oh," they would be like, "Oh, maybe we'll be
Yeah.
older grandparents," i.e. Lynn's probably not going to be able to have any kids. My dad kind of, said to me once, I remember him like talking about money and IVF treatment and how much it costs, and "Oh, well, we
Oh,
would help you
bless
out
him.
with the cost." It's just things like that. Like they didn't want to turn around and say to you. But all my family, like nobody, I've got a really big family. Very, well, very fertile
Oh,
family. So all my cousins, like there's
wow.
11 of us. So my dad's one of six. There's 11 cousins, and then we've all now had, well, apart from two, have had babies. Um, and they'd all, had their babies, and I was always just like, "Oh,
When's
like I'm
my
never going to have
turn?
a baby." And
Yeah.
two of my cousins that are young, yeah, and I just kind of always thought to myself, like, it's never going to be my turn, and nobody would really speak to me about it. And I knew, like, I'm like that, they don't think I can. And then when I did get pregnant,
Do
it
you know
was
what?
like,
That's so
oh
lovely
my
to hear
goodness,
because I
like,
think
this
one
is
thing a lot
just,
of people with stomas, chronic illness, they always get, oh well, when's it your turn? When are you having? And you're just like, well, I don't know. I don't even
mm,
know if I can. And a lot of people I know do get
yeah,
slightly upset, maybe offended at the question, like, well, when are you doing it? Because a lot of people can't. A lot of people don't know if they can. Um,
that's the thing though, even without this though, like, I know so many people, it's scary, who can't, or who need to go through
yeah,
IVF. And a lot of my friends, and they're apart from that, they're so healthy, that they're completely healthy, never had an
it just
operation in
doesn't
their
happen.
life. It just, yeah. And then here's me, 4 months,
See,
and
I have
that's
a
not
lot of
even.
friends. I've got one of my best friends, and so she can't have children. And I don't know if you know anybody that you're close to that can't have children, but do you ever feel
Yep.
like you don't know whether you're overstepping the mark by like keeping them updated? with your kid. You know, like sending funny videos or pictures. You don't know that fine balance between am I being too much and causing upset, or are they grateful to be part of the journey? And sometimes I think I sit and I go, oh God, I really hope I'm not upsetting her, by sending her these videos or talking about them all the time, you know?
My advice to you
Yeah.
is
Well, she says
ask them.
she's always like, oh, I love seeing
Ask.
updates and stuff, but there's always that little niggle in my head, like, oh, I really hope I'm not upsetting her because I know what that feels like because I was told I
Yeah,
couldn't have kids, and so
same.
I know how it
Yeah,
feels because
yeah,
you're not much older than me, and at our age, so in between your late 20s and your early 30s, you are surrounded by people having kids. And
yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think my mum's worry as well was always because I have a sister. It was
when it
like,
happens
oh,
to her,
like
yeah,
she's going to have a child. And yeah, you know. Luckily, like I was fine. Obviously, if I can't have another one, that will be
of
quite
course.
devastating for me, not to be able to
Yeah,
expand my family and seeing everybody else do it. Again, it's just one of the things. It's just unfair. It's unfair that we've got bags. It's unfair, But yeah, it would definitely be harder though. Obviously, if
yeah.
if I didn't have Michael.
It keeps you going, doesn't it?
But
See, on
I
a really
think
bad
that
day, and
question,
like you're talking about,
yeah, it does.
having to keep on going and, plodding on and stuff. For me, it's like Odin is my reason to get up in the morning, whether I'm in pain or not. It's like he needs me, but it's also um that joy, isn't it, of seeing him smile, hearing them laugh, or watching them with their
Yeah.
little
Oh,
toy. I mean, because
yeah.
obviously Michael's a bit older than Odin, but it must just be so lovely to see him from this baby and grow up, and I can't wait for that with Odin as well. But yeah,
Oh yeah, and yeah,
yes,
boys love their mums. So, he's just like, yeah, he makes me feel so loved. He makes me feel, like I can't really do anything wrong. And he doesn't see, oh, mummy's not well, like mummy's not the same as anybody else, like mummy's got this, like he knows, yeah, mummy's got a bag and he points to it. And what I think is really, really, really strange is when Michael was born, he was born with a
yeah,
birthmark, so a strawberry birthmark, which is obviously the same kind of colour as your stoma. And his birthmark is where my stoma is.
really, wow,
Yes, like how weird is that? My mum, like when she came to see him,
that
was
is
like,
weird.
oh my God, like Lynn, Lynn. And I was like, I know what you're going to say. And she was like, that could
And
have
it
been
had to be
anywhere. And
there.
we don't have birthmarks. We don't have birthmarks in my family. My husband's side
Wow.
don't have birthmarks. No strawberry birthmarks. This was like, I honestly, even now when I'm like getting them changed and that still, like, I'm like, oh my God, like, this is so bizarre that that's
Just
where it is.
miracles everywhere.
That
That's
could have been
madness.
anywhere.
And so, because I'm interested in as well, there's obviously going to be other people. When you were weaning with Michael, and obviously at dinner times, how do you plan meals? Because this is something that me and Jamie talk about all the time. And we kind of worry
Right.
because obviously there's so much things we can't eat. But then I'm going to have to cook them for Odin. But then obviously, is Odin going to be like, why are you not eating the same as me, mommy? Or I'm not eating it because you're not eating it.
I mean, I just think with Michael, I was quite lucky, just kind of would just he would eat at different times together, so you wouldn't recognise what we were
Okay.
eating. Or like I mean, he's at that age now though. Like if it's not pizza or tomato soup or chicken nuggets, he doesn't
He
want
sounds
it.
like my kind of kid.
Um, So he eats loads of fruit. Um, and yeah, it doesn't actually. I must admit, he's never been one for like you're not eating it.
So he's not noticed.
He usually does have a different dinner to me and my husband because just sometimes when he comes home from nursery or if my mum's looking after him, my mum works part time and my mother-in-law has flexible hours. So a lot of time during the week they might have have him and be like, well, I'll give him some tea before he comes back down to
Yeah.
you. So I think, he likes soup and he likes, I kind of get his veg into him that way. And then he just eats like his fruit and yogurts, which again, I can eat. So he does that. I take my vitamins, he takes vitamins, like things like
Yeah, so
that.
you kind of make it
But
so
he's
that
never really,
you're both doing things together, but also you're eating at times where it's not going to be his meal time, so he doesn't really notice as much.
yeah, sometimes, or, and even if we go out, like I've got like certain foods that I'll suffer for. So there's
Mushrooms.
like things where I'll like, mm, but like really, I really like salad.
Oh,
Like I
love a
really like
salad.
it. So obviously he doesn't like eat salad, but if he sees me like kind of eating like that kind of thing, like I can maybe like get him to then maybe eat peas or
Yeah,
something like that. Or like maybe kind of veg with like macaroni or things. But no, it's never been an issue
that's
for
really
us.
good,
He's
definitely.
never
And
really kind of
when
done that, but I don't force him. Like I
no,
wouldn't sit
goodness
him
no,
down and be like, eat that. I'd just be like, okay, maybe you're not eating your veg, but you're getting a lot of like fruit and
you're
vitamins
not
other
making it
ways.
a problem. Like you're not like you must eat your vegetables. It's just well, here they
Yeah.
are. Even if you just have a little bit and just don't make a fuss over it.
Mm. Yeah, and me and my friend, like me and my two friends who actually went to nursery with myself and well for the primary school, high school with, we've all got wee boys. They've
Oh,
got two each now. So, but they're all between, so one's just a newborn and they're all between, oldest is 4, he's like 4.5, and then the youngest has just been born a few weeks
wow.
ago. So, a lot of our kids are kind of the same age. So we're just constantly like, oh my God, when was the last time they had veg? When was the last time they done anything like they ate anything like that? So we're all
Yeah,
in the
so
exact same
you've got
train.
that
Like
really
we're
good
all
support
like,
network, and you can all like have a
oh
laugh
yeah,
and relate about things
definitely.
like poo explosions, things
Yeah.
that gross little
Yeah,
boys do,
like
the boogers.
definitely. Oh yeah, oh I got one
Lovely.
handed to me this morning. Like, mummy, look, like I was like, oh, thanks. Yeah, so we've got that great support, and we all understand each other. They again have grown up with me, so they're just like
Like family, pretty
they know
much.
everything that's wrong with me.
Yeah,
Yeah, they know everything that's wrong with
that's
me.
so
They know
lovely.
how I deal with it. They know how I don't deal with it.
And I
So yeah,
suppose you've always
it's
got
good.
that backup
You
as
need
well.
to
Say,
have
like,
mum
your
friends.
husband's got to work, maybe, unforeseen circumstances, maybe
Hmm.
somebody gets poorly and they can't take Michael. If you need to go into hospital, then you've got your friends there to help you, which I think is really lovely.
Yeah. Oh, well, my husband had 2 of them yesterday because we went to help the other one with her newborn. So it was like
Chaos.
we had to take her. And her husband was working, so we were like, right, you need to look after the 2 boys. 3 and a 4-year-old. He was like, I need to keep them alive, like for like somebody else's child. And I was like, yes, you've been a dad
Yeah.
for like three
See, with
years.
me,
That you
um,
can do it.
so I've never really dealt with babies ever. So when I was pregnant, I was constantly panicking, like, what the hell do I do? Like, how do I dress them? And I never had one of those antenatal classes that told you everything. So I
Neither
didn't
did
know
I.
anything. And as I say, I never really interacted with babies ever because obviously I didn't think I could have children. So it was never really something like I was actively looking at or, like interacting with as such. Um, so when I had Odin, it was a big shock.
So was that like a
Pardon?
miracle then as well? Yeah,
Yeah,
that wee miracle as well for
very
you.
much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Was it like, was it a shock or was it planned for
so we
long
were
or did you
so
have
I,
it
I
quite
last had
easy?
I had my first ever pregnancy successfully in 2018, but because I was so unwell with my Crohn's disease, I was so skinny that I was back into kids sized clothes and I was bedridden. I literally could not get out of bed. Jamie had to carry me physically to the toilet. I was being sick all the time. I was obviously losing all my nutrients because I was being sick. I was having a lot of bag leaks. I just was so poorly. I've never known pooliness like it, except from before I had my stoma. So it was advised that I had to have a surgical termination. And so that was awful.
Oh,
That is
I'm
the
so
worst
sorry.
experience of my life. And even pregnancy, how rough and awful and ill I was, doesn't even come close to how awful it was. And so after that, I was kind of like, well, actually, I can get pregnant. So then I was like, I want a baby, but I was still in that process of grief where I felt guilty for having the termination, but I felt guilty because I was so unwell and there's nothing I could do about it. You know, all those emotions that you have when you're not well, and I just
Yeah,
couldn't get out of it. My mental health was horrendous, and I didn't get any support after my termination either, except from my GP at the time.
I'm sorry.
So I did go on antidepressants, and I kind of built myself up again. And I also had a lot of personal issues. I can't really go into too much detail, but basically somebody that I used to be with, and I had so much stress all at once. So having another kid, like yes, I wanted it, but at the same time, I was going so much stress and grief that it just wasn't the right time, and I didn't really want to try, and so I didn't even want touched. And I'm not like a very cuddly person as it is anyway. Not with other people. Odin, it's totally different because I'm like I just want his cuddles all the time.
Yeah,
But it
obviously.
was really really
Yeah.
difficult. But then we did try again, and it was never happening. So I think two miscarries with Jamie. Because before my miscarriages were before I was with Jamie, and my last one was I think about roughly 6 months before I fell pregnant with Odin, and I was kind of like at that point, okay, well it's not going to happen for me. I'm just going to accept it. It is what it is. I've got my dogs, I've got Jamie, and I'm happy, and I got my blogging, so I was totally fine. Um, and then in the January of last year is when I fell pregnant, and I was kind of in denial, to be honest. I was like, no, it's wrong. That no, it's not right. So I made an appointment at the
No,
doctor
it's
because I'd
not.
taken four tests and they all came up positive, and I was like, well, okay, that's yeah. So I went to my GP at the time, and she was like, "Yep, you're pregnant. Congratulations!" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "No." I was like, "Something's gonna go wrong." And every day I was panicking. Every day that I went to the toilet and I didn't pass
It's
blood, I was like,
horrible.
"Okay, this is another milestone." So each day was a milestone. Um, and then when I had Odin, it was kind of a shock, but I was just like, "Oh my god, I've done it! I've finally done it! The one thing I've always wanted has happened for me." Because at one point it is all I wanted, but then
Yeah.
another point I was like, okay, well this isn't going to happen for me anymore, so I may as well just accept it. So it's very different, like parts of my life. So it was really odd, but really good at the same time.
Sorry,
Mm.
that's tough. But yeah, you've
Yeah,
got your lovely wee boy now,
kind
so
of past that stressful part of life.
oh, I know, but it's
But like you, I ideally would like another one. Um, I would like another one, but
yeah. It might just take
yeah.
us a bit longer to get there,
I mean,
but
I've been
see if it
told that
does,
if I
then
tried now, it would
I think
happen
it's
like that pretty much. But I'm just not ready for that yet.
because
I don't
yeah,
want. I would ideally like to wait
yeah,
maybe like 2, 3 years, but Jamie's thinking more 4 or 5. But it's
yeah,
more so
like
just because I don't want Odin to miss out on time with me that he's already sometimes going to be missing on my bad days. And so when I've got another kid to add into that, I don't want him to feel neglected or
yeah,
alone and everything that runs through your head, like you'll know exactly what I mean.
definitely. I mean, I think I would. I see like my friends with their kids, and they've both got quite like small age gaps, which I always kind of really
Well, you do
wanted
because
and,
you
and
kind of want
things,
them
and
to be close and you
but
want
it's
them to
maybe
grow
just
up together.
yeah. But I think everybody's situation is different. Like I think I'm totally aware now that I was really lucky, but with my conditions, it could be a lot longer the next time, or I've not got the same health as them, so I need to make
Yeah,
sure I'm in that good position, or kind of cherishing the time. Like obviously everybody cherishes the time, but like you said, like they might not get the time taken away from them, but I do sometimes, like
you're always
so
conscious about that,
yeah,
aren't
just need
you?
to do what's
Like
good.
you're like, oh, yeah, it's like the mum
Mum
guilt, and
guilt
like you're like, oh, I really want to do this again. You're like, I just
is so
love another
real.
little baby. And then you're
hmm
like, oh, well, is the next pregnancy going to be
Yeah.
better? Is it going to be worse? Am I going to be well enough? So many thoughts go through your
Well,
mind.
yeah. So with my condition, premature labour's basically going to happen again. Hopefully not as premature, but I'm like, right, so my baby is going to come early. It's going to be in the NICU again. Where's Michael going to go when I'm staying in the NICU? I can't like leave the baby at the hospital, but then I need to look after Michael. Is he going to be old enough to know, oh, mummy's just having to look after
Yeah.
my, sibling rather than
But then also,
where's my
you've
mum?
got,
Like,
again, the mum guilt. So you don't know how you're going to be until you're in
Yep,
that situation.
exactly.
And I often find as
hmm
well,
No.
a lot of people say, oh, well, if you've got friends and family, they can help you out and stuff. But sometimes it's not always that simple because my mum and dad in law work full time. My dad works full time. My mum's not involved. Um, and then all my friends work full time or
Mm.
don't live here because, like, where we live, the only family we've got is Jamie's mum and dad. Yeah,
Yeah, so you're relying on two
we
people, and
manage.
yeah,
We do.
yeah, I'm really lucky. Yeah, I'm really lucky. I've got quite a lot. Well, my sister's a teacher, and my dad works full time. Stuart's dad's kind of full time and things, but my mother-in-law, and my mum, they're really good. Especially, like my mum, she's part time, so I kind of know every day she's really good. But I think it's like I've actually I've condensed my hours at work, so I've got a day off where I can take go to nursery, pick them up, do something with them, and that's our time. I don't want to be, I
But
don't
you
want to
don't.
miss out on that because I'm very, very aware that it might be my only chance I get. So to try, and I think sometimes I might come across as being quite like,
I totally relate
controlling
to
the
that as well.
situation,
I
and
can,
like I don't
yeah,
really
totally
want
relate.
your, yeah, it's like, oh, like my mother-in-law bought him a
Oh,
bike for Christmas a couple of years ago, and I was like, no. I was like, no,
oh
I
no.
want to buy him his first bike. Um, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like freaking out. I was like to my husband, I was like, oh my God, like, you need like, but I was like, what if I can't, what if I can't have another child? I was like, I'm not going to get to go and pick their bike with them. And I was like, no. And things like that. And then it was like, always kind of first experiences. I
You
was
want
like,
it to be
no.
you
And,
because
and
it
I
was
want to be
such
the
a
one to do
miracle to
it.
have them.
And exactly. And I was freaking out. And I think people were like, maybe just, and I was like, but when you've been told you can't have a child, when you've been told that, when you do have one and it might realistically be your only one, um,
They're so
these
special.
things are so important.
So
Like, I'm not saying they're not
special.
to other people, but they're so, so special because I'm like, oh, well, my
Yeah.
body might not be able to do this again. And, it's, oh,
You
like, I
just
just
want to be
want to.
part of every
Luckily,
single
like, we've
thing,
got
every single moment because you don't want to miss it.
a,
You just don't.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. And don't get me wrong, she was lovely and she was great. She was like totally understand. But I'm like, no, like that's my child.
No,
I
I
want to do
get what you
that.
mean. But in a sense as well, suppose then
um,
you feel guilty because you're like, they've spent this much money on something for them, and then I feel like this, and you kind
yeah,
of think, oh God, I hope they don't think I'm being ungrateful, and then you have all that going through your mind.
yeah, I'm lucky. I have got a really good relationship with her. She had Stuart very like quite young, so she's only
Wow,
40 odds. So she's still quite, young herself, so we've got a really good relationship.
that's so good.
So I was just a bit
I'm the
like,
same with my mother-in-law as well.
um,
Like, she's just the best thing ever to us. Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, that's what we might
Well,
be like one
yeah.
day.
Hopefully. I said to Jamie he's not getting a girlfriend till he's 30. He's my baby.
I'm the same. I'm like, no. I know, I think it's because it said like shirts like, oh, and then I was like, what if it was like a girl? And he was like, well, 30. And I was like, well, exactly. I was
And
like,
I was
I
going
feel
to
the
ask
same
as
about that.
well. Um, so I'm very, I don't know what the word is. I don't know, like not worried. Like, so if obviously Odin might not have a girlfriend, might have a boyfriend. How do you feel about things like that? Are you worried or
It's fine. No, but I would like them to somehow either they
Yeah.
choose to give me
Then you
grandchildren
could
one
be like,
day.
oh, another baby.
So yeah, so I'm just like, that's fine, but
Yeah.
do
No, I
you want to be a
totally
dad?
get that. Totally
Like,
get that.
please.
And it's something that I think about often. I think,
Because
well, I wonder, I would love it for him to have a girlfriend, but at the same time, I wouldn't really be too worried if he had a boyfriend because at the end of the day, him being happy is priority. But I would love
well, yeah,
grandchildren
exactly,
too.
and
But there's a lot of I know, so obviously it's 2022, and everything's a lot more like gender fluid and LGBT, and things like that. But I still feel there's quite a lot of stigma, especially around young children at the moment, where you see on TikTok where there's like
hmm
little boys that like to play with dolls, or there's little boys that like to wear dresses just because it's fancy dress, but it's not because they actually are like that. And
yeah,
how do you have you ever had to deal with that, or what are you going to do when you do? Because I literally don't know.
no, like Michael's just so boisterous. He's like into cars. He's into like fighting play, everything like that. He's very, you know, I've just
That's
not
good
really came
then.
across it to be honest. And I'm just like, and he's got this wee girl. He comes out of school, not school, sorry, nursery, and he's like, yeah. So he's like Sophie, and I'm like, who's Sophie? And he's like, my
Not
girlfriend, and I'm like,
already.
oh my god, like what? I'm like, you're free. I'm like, who is she? Like, point it out to me. No, like, yeah, I would like to get like just grow up, get married, have a family, but whatever way he does that, he does it. But
Yeah,
I want
definitely.
grandchildren.
Well, it's good that you haven't had to experience that. I think it's more so maybe just online, to be honest, because I've not yet either.
I think I'm not really for it being like
No.
pushed on them because I don't think there's need to. I think if it's something that they want to know
Well, you
about
can
when they're older
ask.
and understand it, fine, but it doesn't need to get pushed
Now,
on them without
correct me
them,
if I'm
you
wrong,
know.
and I think it was just before lockdown, there was an article online, and I think it was in Scottish schools where they were starting to teach about different sexualities. And I think it's in,
I'm not
when you
sure
do your
because
sex education.
see, I went
Do
to
you
a Catholic
not?
school, we didn't get that. Nope, and Michael will be going to
So
Catholic school. So I don't know about that, if I'm honest. We didn't get that when we were.
I can't remember
Nope.
where I read it. I'll have to look it up again. But I'm pretty sure they said they were going to start putting it into schools, and I just, for me, think it's just too much.
I think it needs to be very careful. I get if they want to put it into schools to be like, don't be, don't kind of be bullying because of it, don't be
Yeah,
judging people, don't be doing this, like, it's but yet again, I think it's also, you shouldn't be telling somebody
no.
this is the way you should be.
I'll
They'll
definitely
be the
have
way
to
they're
have a
going to
look
be.
into it, and once I find out,
Um,
I might actually do a blog post about it, because I don't know what actually is in the curriculum for that. Um, but I suppose that is it's a little bit of a worry, but not in the sense of, oh, I don't want them to be like that. It's more so you just, like you say, you don't want it to be forced. Um,
yeah, we just need to kind of be very kind of open to people. Some people are, not different, but just some
exactly,
people
but
make
it
different
doesn't make them,
choices, and some
like
people,
horrible or anything. And I know when I was at school,
no,
there
no,
was
and
obviously
you
a
don't.
few people that you would know were gay, and they got bullied horrendously for it. So in that sense, I think it's really good,
Mm,
if it avoids people getting bullied. Um,
yeah,
and one thing
definitely.
I forgot to ask you as well is, have you ever been swimming with Michael?
Yes, I took him when he was just born before. So when I was in maternity leave, I took him for swimming
Yeah.
lessons. Michael's been abroad 3 times as well, so we've
Wow.
obviously been. Yeah, we took him when he was 6 months, got him right in the water. We've been abroad twice. We're going again this year. I go with mum and dad because you need reinforcements when you're going
Yes.
abroad with a baby or a child. I don't know if you've done it
No.
yet. Oh my god, it's good to have an extra pair of hands. And yeah, so and we've been away with our in-laws to like places like lodges and stuff with, you know, kind of wee hot tubs, and Michael thinks that's a swimming pool because he's like
I
tiny compared to the,
know,
the
bless
hot
him.
tub
And
and
did you
stuff.
find that your
Uh,
stoma caused any issues when you were swimming with Michael or anything?
uh, no, actually, no. Again, got wee tips, you know, I usually kind of maybe put a wee bit of heat on my bag before I put it on my stomach
Yeah.
because it kind of sticks a bit better. And then if you're going like to swim or whatever, it kind of sticks. But no, like I think again though, I was just so wrapped up in him. Like, is he okay? Is you know, it was kind of like get him out. Like I don't even think I
No,
was like
you're just
checking my
enjoying
bag.
it so
Like I
much
was
and
just
watching
like,
him
get
go
him.
in the water. Odin's just obsessed with
Yeah.
water. I bought him one of
So,
those neck floats for the bath. Oh my god, he just goes mental. He just loves it.
mhm.
He started laughing. So he's
I would honestly get him
yeah.
swimming.
I need
Get him
to
swimming
order
if you
him.
can.
Kind of one of those suits. Keep him cozy. You can order him.
Yeah, when we went, they didn't have any of them.
Oh,
You just held your baby. When I went, yeah, they didn't put them on them because you had to put them like under the water and everything as well.
I
My back
bet.
was breaking. But
See, I find
yeah,
that as
that's
well
what we
because I
done.
also have
But
sciatica,
yeah, I
and I had the PGP when I was pregnant too.
mhm,
And
mhm,
I sometimes worry about, and I'm sure it's going to be if there's any other uh, mums that have got chronic illness or who want to become a mum and things, and there's some things that you don't think about. But one of the things that I keep thinking about is when Odin gets older. So bearing in mind he's almost 4 months and he's already killing my back, kind of holding him. What is it like when they're older, like Michael's age, where they want to be lifted? Do you manage, or kind of what do you say to him? Like, because obviously you don't want him to know that you're sore. So how do you go about that?
um. So I just probably left him when I shouldn't. My mum and dad are very like, it's like my husband, because he's known me being a bit older, sometimes doesn't get just how much like heavy lifting and stuff I shouldn't do. And I'm like, I'm not just, this isn't an excuse kind of thing. Um, so my mum and dad are very hands on. Like if Michael is in my mum's and it's later on at night, he fell asleep or else, you know, he just wants carried out to the car. My dad's very much like, I'll do it. Your mummy's, I'm taking you, even if he's like screaming blue murder for mummy. My
You'll
dad's
have
like,
to.
no, your mummy can't do it. You're too heavy. Yeah. But I just do it when I need to. If I don't, my husband will just to carry him as much. He's good though. He's at that age now. He can kind
He's
of
a bit
jump
more
into the car seat
independent.
and he can kind of jump back out. Yeah, and then I'll just say to him, no,
You're
like
able. You'll
walk,
do it. You've got 2 legs.
move. Like, yeah, and if I need to, I still take the buggy out with me. I'm like, well, if he gets
Yeah,
tired, you get flung in that buggy.
that's good then, because it's always been like a
So,
worry of mine. Yeah.
yeah, you'll be fine. I
Well,
think we
thank you
covered
very much, and
everything
I'm
yet.
so sorry it took so long for
No,
this.
yeah,
Okay. Well, thank you very
definitely.
much,
Wastes
and
time.